This is a video going out to Jeopardy Finalist. Somebody that I'm subscribed to, I saw that they had responded to a video, so I would have never really known you were even there. But I saw a video that you had put out here very recently. What was it called? Liberals are annoying. Oh boy. So I went ahead and did up a video response, or wrote up a video response. Then I went back and actually read your profile. It says you're a Republican. Okay, you got the funniest political jokes. You know, you got three people on an airplane. They're on Air Force One. You got George W. Bush, you got Barbara Bush, you got Dick Cheney, and George W. Bush says, you know, I could throw $1,000 bill out this window and make one person really happy. And Mrs. Bush comes back and says, well, you know, I could take $100 bills and throw them out the window and make 10 people really happy. Of course, Dick Cheney has to chime in and say, well, you know, I could take a $110 bill or $110 bills, pitch them all out the window and make 100 people happy. The pilot and the co-pilot are sitting up front chuckling, laughing about this, and they said, shit, we could throw all three of the sons of bitches out the window and make the entire fucking world happy. I also read on there that the Bible is your favorite book. I'm not surprised, because people like you believe in fairy tales. You see, you're not a conservative. You are a subscriber to Zionism. We could call it a subscriber to an imperialistic plutocracy. That's a mouthful. They're one and the same. I'm a conservative. I'm a progressive conservative. You know, Republicans have hijacked the term conservative. It's all part of the mind game that the system likes to play. Start off with the war in Iraq. You know, you ought to take it from people that have been there. Based completely on lies. We create enemies. Go to war. Got to keep that machine rolling. You know, the longer we forcefully occupy another country, the more we bring democracy at the barrel of a gun. Yeah, that's the more enemies we're going to create. You know, these people have a culture over there in Iraq, and it's, I don't even know how to put things to somebody like you because you're just so far off in left field. In our system in the United States, we don't have rights. We've got privileges. Everybody will turn around and say, especially people like you, oh, we're free. We're free. No, you're free to ask your government permission to do something. And you line up to take what they'll give you, to get those privileges, and you've forgotten what freedom is about. I recently posted a video on this particular channel. I've got several channels. Only actually two that I use. But some of the words of Rush Limbaugh. Now, I particularly don't care that much for Rush Limbaugh. But he talks about the entitlement mentality of people in the United States. So you got to go back. I'm going to give you several links. Have a look at some of these things. And you can't dispute the entitlement mentality that people have. Those who fight in this war in Iraq are generally speaking, in the worst economic condition here in the United States. Well, industry is going to profit. Industry is what backs the politicians. Industry is a general term. And then the politician is motivated by his own greed. You wanted to talk a little bit about global warming, so I'm just going to start presenting some facts to fly in your face. There's a glacier lake it's in the Andes in Peru that was recently found in 1991. That's when the lake was created. I'll give you a link. It's over 200 foot deep. And it is from melting ice. The lake wasn't there before. That's the only thing right now I'll give you on global warming. Fluorocarbons, which is a chlorine and a fluoride bond. It's used in aerosol cans, just one example, as a propellant, but it's also used in solvents, lubricants, refrigerants, and what have you. Then you've got chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. It's where they add chlorine to the carbon fluoride bond. There's an argument that I recently heard, again, another link, but that a single volcanic eruption will produce more CFCs than all of mankind has ever created. Now, there might be some truth to that. However, what they didn't take into consideration is that volcanic eruptions also send up things called ash and water vapor. If you knew the height of the ozone layers, like in the troposphere, how the ozone goes up 9 to 17 kilometers, and then beyond that is the stratospheric ozone that goes from 17 kilometers up to 50 kilometers. What's the height of the average volcanic eruption? How high do things go up into the air? I mean, these are just little things you have to take into consideration. Volcanic eruptions will tend to dilute the CFCs that they send up in the ash, whether the ash absorbs it and then it comes back down, or in the water vapor, which will in turn recycle itself, while the CFCs produced by industry are just in a raw form. Nothing diluted about them. The Earth does, and see, this is where I bring in the realism. The Earth does go through climactic change. It's a cycle. It warms, then it cools, then it warms, then it cools. But that's without man's interference. And when industry steps on the scene and continues to harm and harm and harm and harm and harm, more harm, without giving it the opportunity to heal, is when we see the problems. Recycling. The mentality of dig, produce, consume. You know, the U.S. is the worst with the consumer mentality. But see, here's where it steps into a different scenario, where the U.S. will consume, yet they don't produce anything viable anymore. Jobs are sent overseas, and this is where we're going to see a global economic collapse. You know, I'm looking forward to that. You know, it all boils down to profit. You just have to follow the money. Alternative fuels aren't moving forward, such as biodiesel, because it steps on the toes of the oil producers. It steps on the toes of the auto manufacturers. Here's just another good example. Household cleaners. You know, my grandmother had the most immaculate house. She used just the basics, whether it was a baking soda, ammonia, bleach. Her house was immaculate. Vinegar. That's the one I was thinking of. And now we've got to get all these fancy cleaners like Formula 409 or whatever, and they market it and they sell it to you. They advertise it, say it's cheaper, it's easier. It's no easier. It's definitely not cheaper. And it is certainly harmful. Everybody wants it cheap. They want it fast. That's just the mentality. You see, I'd said I was a progressive conservative. Again, Republicans have hijacked a very good thing, conservatism. It's all part of the facade going on. Biodiesel. Why aren't we investigating that? Why? It encroaches on the profits of somebody else. Why aren't scientists researching the terra preta? You might have to Google that. When they should be concerning themselves with how to feed people. Oh no. Cuts in on the profits. And that's where you find your problems. Follow the money, and then you might start getting a grasp on what's really going on In the meantime, you're using a word such as conservative, and that's insulting. Good day.